Hi, my name is Chloe, and I'm so excited to be with all of you tonight. I'm in the 7th grade, and I've read all of Terri Libenson's books. We suggest choosing Speaker View for tonight's program. Please make sure to stay muted until told otherwise. This program is brought to us today by PGR Way in Tidewater as part of the Leanne Bernard Jaffe Family Jewish Book Festival in partnership with the Strelitz International Academy. Terri Libenson is a New York Times best-selling children's book author and award-winning cartoonist of the daily comic strip The Pajama Diaries, which ran from 2006 to 2020. She was also an award-winning humorous card writer for American Greetings. She is the New York Times best-selling author of the middle grade series Emmy and Friends. Mrs. Libenson lives with her husband and 2 daughters in Cleveland, Ohio. Please put all your questions in the chat at the bottom of your screen. Welcome, Mrs. Libenson.
Hi, thank you. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks, Chloe. So I hope everyone's doing well tonight. I thought I'd kick things off with a few words about my book series, and in particular, Becoming Brianna. You could see it here. So that is definitely my latest one, and it is also the one that is significant for tonight's topic because it's all about a bat mitzvah. So let me do a little screen share and just show you my series of books that you guys may or may not be familiar with. Let's see. Just trying to find it. There it is. Okay. So let me start from the beginning. I started with Invisible Emmy. That was my first book. And before then, I was doing a comic strip, like Chloe said, called Pajama Diaries. And I never done kids' books before. But I had a lot of friends who are cartoonists who were starting to write middle grade books, kind of like this. And I thought, let me give it a shot and see how it goes. So I did, and I surprised myself. I really enjoyed writing it. It was hard work, but it was so much fun, and it just kind of spilled out of me. And I based Emmy on myself when I was Chloe's age, actually, 7th grade. I was really shy and quiet and very artistic, and I just kind of turned that side of me into this character. From then on, I wrote Positively Izzy, and that stars a brand new character named Izzy, as well as Brianna from Invisible Emmy, who happens to be Emmy's best friend. And then I brought 2 other characters who were just kind of in the background in my first 2 books, and I brought them to the forefront in Just Jamie. And then finally with Brianna, I'd always had it in the back of my head, or at least the last couple of years, I had it in the back of my head that this age group would be so perfect for doing some kind of bat mitzvah story. And so I decided to bring Brianna back. I thought she'd be perfect for it. And she became the star of Becoming Brianna. And there's a 5th book here. That's actually my next one, and it hasn't come out yet. It comes out in May. It's called Truly Tyler. I'm finally bringing a boy into the picture, but I'm going to backtrack and go back to Brianna. Let me just stop this share. So just to give you a little bit of the backstory of Brianna, Brianna is someone who really hates being in the spotlight. So of course, this was perfect for her to be in the middle of the spotlight and to do a bat mitzvah. She is half Jewish, and she's never really been particularly religious. And the entire time she's questioning why she's even doing this. She figures at first it's for her mother, but then as the story goes, she starts realizing it's for other reasons as well, and really good, significant reasons. And the book kind of goes back and forth between past and the present. So if any of you are familiar with my books, you'll know that Usually there is a like a graphic novel portion that's devoted to one character, and then kind of an illustrated novel portion where it's a lot of text and then some spot art in between, and that's devoted to another character. But in this case, it's all Brianna. So I have her kind of going back into the past when she first starts the whole bat mitzvah process, and that is the illustrated text portion. And then there's the present day, which is completely the day of the bat mitzvah. So it switches back and forth. So she is definitely very nervous to do this. I thought I would give you guys kind of a teaser if you haven't read the book, and I'll read from the first 2 chapters just so you can kind of get familiar with it. So let me share my screen again, and I'm going to do a little slideshow. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see this. Can you guys see this? Can you raise your hand if you see it? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Never quite know. Okay, so this is the first chapter of Becoming Brianna. 8 months ago. Oops. Mom and I are sitting at the kitchen table, shoving pizza in our faces. It's homemade pizza. Mom started making it from scratch when she realized it was just about the only thing I ever ate without complaining. Also, she figured it would be healthier. There's regular pizza, crispy crust, semi-sweet sauce, drippy and gooey, yum. And then healthy pizza, slightly burnt crust, but still good, sometimes made with cauliflower, ick. Semi-sweet sauce, not as drippy and gooey. It's not bad. I like Ramon's pizza the best, but I've got to hand it to Mom. She badgered the owner for the sauce recipe 1,000 times until he finally gave in. Ramon made her swear she wouldn't give it away and would burn the photocopy of his handwritten recipe. Top secret. I'm at Mom's condo this week. My parents are divorced and share custody. They trade off weeks. It could be a pain going back and forth, but I'm pretty used to it. Packed stuff I drag along. Favorite clothes, 50% PJs. Science books, small fuzzy pillow. Phone, backpack full of homework, Camp Robo water bottle. Extra pair of tangled earbuds. Childhood stuffed animal. Also, oops, I read it the wrong way. Hidden candy. Shh. Childhood stuffed animal. Also, shh, with a missing arm. Fluffy keychain thingy and handy wheels. Anyway, here I sit stuffing myself with pizza. At least I try. Wondering why I'm being watched. I'd really like to pick up that conversation we had last week. Aw, Mom. I asked if you would think about it. I still don't know. But I need an answer. You would need to prepare. Can I think about it next week? I have an algebra quiz and an English essay, and it would mean the world to me. Mom. And to your grandparents. Your grandpa would be so proud if he were alive. Wow, Mom. Did I mention she is the queen of guilt? I went through 432,000 hours of labor with you. Please, hon, this is something you look back on so fondly, and it's a family tradition. What are you talking about? You were the first one in your family to do this. The first female. And that's another thing. It's so important that women should be honored this way. That is the ultimate guilt. Mom knows I've been a feminist since I was like 5. She just touched a nerve. Fine. So fast, I almost don't see her get up. Mom races over and engulfs me in a powerful hug. I'm so glad, hun, you are not going to regret this. Oof. What Mom doesn't know is that anytime she says that, I usually do. So now we're going to go on to the graphic novel portion. So this is chapter 2. And as you can see, it takes place now. We're at Mom's regular salon. Laverne is doing me up. Real name is Laverne, different spelling, but Frenchifying it gets her more business. I think there are 2, but I don't have that info on me. So, are you excited about the big day, honey? I'm starting to think this is more her day than mine. Well, try not to let her steal your thunder. Too late. Are you kidding me? They made none? Mom pays and we head out. Next victim. It was just a snafu, but they're back on track. You should see the flowers. Gorgeous. You look heavenly up there. Bree, you okay? What's wrong? It's okay. You don't have to say anything until it's time. Phew. So that is my little teaser. As you can see, I haven't really introduced what it's about specifically. That comes a little bit later, so it's my little spoiler. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. So should we start doing the question and answer? You guys ready for that? Okay.
Our first question for you today is, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, that's a great question. So I think just my own background, my own family's background was the inspiration. I've had a bat mitzvah. My husband had a bar mitzvah. Our two daughters went through the bat mitzvah process, and it's all still very fresh in my mind. And plus, it's just the perfect topic for a book because you have so many challenges that are involved in the preparation of a bat mitzvah or a bar mitzvah. You know, from just trying to write a speech to just kind of questioning your beliefs throughout the whole thing, to even if you're having a party, you know, sometimes it gets to be, you know, you have those friendship issues, like who should I invite, who shouldn't I leave out, things like that. It's just so ripe with so many different nuances and stories within stories. So, and there's a lot of conflict. So it was just perfect material for me. And I really needed to have a mom who became what I call a botzilla instead of a bridezilla, who just goes completely berserk with the planning. So I've been there. So I thought that would be fun as well.
Was Brianna's bat mitzvah experience based off of yours?
I think it was based off of mine to an extent, but it was also partly made up and partly based off my daughter's experiences. It was mine in the fact that throughout it, I was wondering if I really believed in what I was doing. And ultimately, I did, and I was really happy I did it. In Brianna's case, it's a little bit different because she didn't grow up. I mean, she started to go to Hebrew school. Her mother kind of pushed her into it a bit, but she was never really all that there. She wasn't always so crazy about going. So I think she was a little more questioning in why she was doing this. And this book is sort of about her journey and finding the answers to that and to the why. And it's interesting. I actually had my rabbi help me with some of the background about this, and I had to write a bat mitzvah speech, a parashah. So it's the second time in my life I did that, and I was kind of proud of myself for doing that, and I liked how it turned out. As far as my kids' experiences go, I think I was sort of basing more of the friendship aspects on what they've gone through. I don't seem to recall them doing as much questioning about why they were doing it. My kids have always embraced religious school and this rite of passage, so I didn't really have those. They didn't really have those issues with it. And some of it was made up.
What gave you the idea of your unique style where you go from normal to graphic throughout the book?
Oh yeah, I get that question a lot. Originally, when I wrote my first book, Invisible Emmy, it was all just gonna be the illustrated spot art kind of format. And then it was actually my agent who had the idea of switching back and forth and using a different style to set it apart for the other character. And at first I was really mad at him because he gave me a lot more work to do. But then I really came to love doing the graphic novel portion. I think I actually find it more relaxing to do. I don't know what it is, but I love writing the more texty part because I could get really detailed. But when I go to do the illustrations, I absolutely love doing the graphic novel portion. It gave me a real love of doing that. So, and it's fun. I could change it up. It keeps it a little more interesting, and it definitely sets. If I'm writing about two different characters, it really kind of sets them apart a little bit, and you could tell whose chapter is really what, and that never really gets confusing. So, I love it.
I love how all your characters throughout the series connect. Was it hard to figure out how to do that?
Oh yeah, that's a real challenge for me. And I keep coming up with more characters, it seems. So I have to figure out more ways that they connect. Or sometimes it's just about trying to make their relationships a little bit deeper. I've noticed that I've had to do that more and more as I go along in these books because I start to get to know the characters well. They get to know each other a little bit better as the series goes on. I mean, you could read the books as standalones, but if you read them in order of how I wrote them, you start to notice that I think the relationships take on a little bit more depth. The one that I just wrote that's coming out in May with Tyler was interesting. I really had to do a deep dive into like friendship dynamics with this one especially, and it was challenging. I had to write it 3 different times. It just wasn't quite clicking at first, and that's one thing that I think everybody, any kind of aspiring author or artist, should know is it doesn't always work the first time. A lot of times you have to keep on rewriting and tweaking and adding and subtracting to the story, and most of the time it just makes it better.
I love your illustrations. Can you show us a few?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you just saw some there, but would you like me to actually draw some characters for you guys? That
Sure.
sound good? All right. Let me switch over to Photoshop, and I'm going to have to screen share again. Is there a particular character, Chloe, that you'd like me to draw? Can you think of any off the top of your head, or does anybody else have ideas?
Could you draw Brianna?
I would love to draw Brianna. Okay, hang on. Okay, can you guys see the blank screen okay? Okay, good. Okay, this is always interesting because when I do this, I don't think you could actually see my hand. It's all done digitally. So it looks like some kind of phantom is drawing. Okay, so I'm really bad at talking and drawing at the same time, but I'm going to try my best. So usually I just start with the eyeballs. There's no real rule. Whoops, I'm going to erase that. That's a great thing about drawing on a digital screen is it's really easy to erase stuff. I'll give her a big toothy grin. She kind of has fun hair. Has a lot of texture. I think that's my favorite part of drawing her. I get to draw these little marks. So Brianna is very, I like to say, kind of brainy. She's really smart, and she's kind of quiet, not as quiet as Emmy, but she definitely doesn't like being in the spotlight. So it really takes a lot of nerve for her to get up at the podium and chant in Hebrew and read from the Torah and say her speech. You can really tell I can't draw and talk at once. So I have her holding a book. I don't think I'm gonna have enough room for a leg. So this is a great thing about, the other great thing about drawing digitally, you can kind of move things around easily. We've got a lot. I think I'm making her legs a little bit wacky. That's okay. Give her some boots. Little shadow. She's a little bow-legged, but that's okay. Oh my God, she's very bow-legged, but okay, gotta forgive me for that. But I can fix it a little. So I started drawing my comic strip by hand, and then I would just kind of scan it in and do all the coloring in Photoshop like this. But then eventually I just went straight to digital, and I did the same thing with my books, and it makes it a lot quicker, and I work really well that way. And I'm a neat freak, so I don't spill paint around or ink, so it's perfect. All right, so that's Brianna. Any other requests? Oops, let me stop the share first. Okay. Any other requests for characters? Let's see. Oops. Jamie. Okay. You guys up for Jamie? She's a fun one to drop. So let me erase Bree. So Jamie is from my third book, Just Jamie. And she's a really sweet character. And the story is actually loosely based off of an incident that happened to my older daughter when she was in 8th grade. She was basically dumped by her friend group through a text message, and it was devastating. She's fine now. She has lots of new friends now, and she's in college, so it's been a long time. But I thought, oh my gosh, what a universal topic. So I decided to make
Terri, you have stopped your screen share.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. Okay, can you see it? Sorry about that, guys. See, I can't multitask. So that is a big hand. Oh well. So I decided to make a book about Jamie and Maya, who are best friends. And what happens is one of them gets excluded from their friend group, and the other is kind of the dumper. So Jamie's the dumpy, Maya is the dumper. And I decided to write a book from both their viewpoints of the events that lead up to it and during that time, and then a little bit afterwards. Whoa, that is really bad. We have, for some reason, I can't do legs tonight, but this is great. We can kind of shorten them. I'll just color that in. Pretend that didn't happen. So that, yeah, so Jamie is definitely a story that's based on friendship. Losing a friend, gaining friends. Okay, let me stop the share. Hope you guys enjoyed that, my disproportionate characters. So do you guys have any questions? Any other questions?
I can't wait for your next book. Could you tell us about it?
Absolutely. Let me do one more screen share just so I can show you the cover. So this is Truly Tyler. And Truly Tyler, as you can see, is about Tyler Ross, who happens to be Emmy's crush from Invisible Emmy. And I thought he would make a great character. And I thought it'd be great to show his friendship with Emmy evolving. So let me take that off. So the story is about Tyler and Emmy. So it goes back and forth between them. I kind of brought that format back. Tyler's story is the main one. It's the text heavy one. And then I have Emmy in the graphic novel portion. And it's kind of about them teaming up for a comics project that they have in art class. And then all the challenges, and there's some like some peer pressure from Tyler's friends into focusing more on basketball because he's really into basketball too, but he's sort of torn between basketball and comics. And then there's Emmy's side. She still has a crush on him and she's trying to be cool for him. And there's just so many dynamics going on. It's kind of a layered book, but the really cool thing about Truly Tyler is that there's also a book within a book because I show their entire comic that they work on together. So that was a fun extra bonus for me and hopefully for all you readers. So I hope you guys enjoy that one.
It looks like we have lots of requests to draw the rabbis. Do you mind doing that for us?
Sure. I'm going to have to look at my book though, because I can't remember what he looks like. It's been a while. I've been illustrating Truly Tyler for a long time now, so that kind of took over. Let me get back into Photoshop and I'll look up the rabbi in my book and I'll be happy to draw him. Let's see, screen share. Okay. I have to figure out what page he's on. Oh, there he is. Okay. So I have to tell you, this rabbi is actually based on one of the rabbis at my temple here in Cleveland. His name is Rabbi Nosenchuk. That's my real rabbi's name. And in fact, I named all the clergy in this book after the clergy in my temple at home. Before I do this, I just have to find this one part because I think you guys will get a kick out of it. There it is. Okay, so in one of the chapters, it's referring to the cantor, and we have a really large temple, so there's two main rabbis, and sometimes there's sort of a temporary rabbi on top of that, or a transitional one. And so I was trying to combine like our cantor's name and a rabbi's name. So I decided to give the cantor in the book a really long name by combining the others. So she's Cantor Jordana Caruso Sager. And that's all named after the cantors and rabbis at our temple, other than Rabbi Nosenchuk. So Rabbi Nosenchuk actually performed my own daughter's, I just lost him, my own daughter's bat mitzvahs. He was the rabbi for theirs. So there's also a scene where he's posing for a selfie with Brianna, and that was based on actual occurrences with my own daughters. The Rabbi Nosenchuk at our temple did the same thing, just to kind of loosen them up before they began the service. So I loved that part. So I had to include that in the book. Okay. It's the first time I've had a request to draw him. I love it. I think our rabbi has a little more hair. He's He's also a lot younger. I had to age this one up. So, giving the prayer shawl. And my rabbi. He's fun to draw. I forgot about that. Hey guys, any other questions or requests?
So we have another question. How long does it take to complete a book?
Oh yeah, I get that question a lot. So I have to come up with a new book every year, as long as both my publisher and I agree to doing one. So far it's been every May they come out. So I basically have a year to do them. Luckily, it doesn't take quite that long. Sometimes it's pushing it, and sometimes it goes by a little faster. So the writing part of it, it really varies because some of these stories really spill out of me, and some it's like pulling teeth. It's like Tyler. As I said, it took 3 rewrites, and it took most of the year to do it. So I was really pushing it with the illustrations, trying to get it in on time. So that kind of depends. It can take anywhere from a couple months to many, many months to almost a whole year. With the illustrations, I usually can tell how long that's going to take. That's pretty consistent. So that usually takes about maybe 3.5 to 4 months to finish all the artwork for that. Tyler took a little bit longer because I had that extra kids book to make, which was a lot of fun. So that probably took closer to 4 months, but I've got to be kind of quick about it.
Do you plan on doing another series, or do you want to continue to evolve Emmy and Friends?
Oh wow, great question. So for now I'm gonna do more Emmy and Friends books. I signed on to do a 6th and 7th one after this. And hopefully I'll have a few other little projects too. I did a journal for the Emmy and Friends series. It looks like this, and I had such a blast making this. It's sort of part journal, part activity book. It's a lot of fun. Adults will like it too. As far as other series goes, yeah, I would definitely like to try my hand at something else. I'm actually really interested right now in trying to do picture books for younger kids. So I'm working on some of those right now. We'll see if that goes anywhere. I'm also trying to, I'm starting to create, I don't know if this will pan out, but I'm starting to create a graphic novel about the Jews in the Spanish Inquisition from a young girl's point of view. So going into a much heavier topic. So I'm just starting to dip my toes into writing that, but not sure if that's going to pan out either, but we'll see. And then I would love to write other funny books as well. So got a lot of plans ahead.
Do you have any advice for anyone who wants to be an author or illustrator when they grow up?
Oh yeah, sure. I actually have a whole section devoted on my website to this. I have, if you go to terrilibenson.com, that's my little website plug. If you go under the heading miscellaneous or Miss for short, you'll see that I created a guide with tips for creating graphic novels or any kind of story, really. And it just gives you a lot of pointers from my own experience, because I get asked this a lot. But off the top of my head, I would say you want to just keep doing it, keep writing. If you're writing a story or writing a comic, I always say to start writing a comic, if you can, it's probably best to just write it out like a script. That's what I do a lot. And then you can illustrate it after that. And that way, if you ever want to tweak it, you can kind of do that before you get to the illustration part. So you're not redrawing everything. But definitely just keep doing it. Practice is the best way to get good at something. That's for both writing and illustrating. I think one of my best tips that I ever got from someone that I definitely follow is to just step away from my work. So if you ever have writer's or artist block, it works to just kind of, take a break from it. If you can take a break for a day or two, or even for longer, then you can kind of get back to it and see it with fresh eyes again. It's a trick that really, really works. And also just read a lot. Oh my gosh, how could I forget that? That really helps. That helps to kind of figure out what you like yourself, what interests you, and what you would feel passionate about writing about. So reading and practicing and doing, and it always helps to take writing or art classes. Anything that just gives you more practice and more room to grow.
Out of all of your books, which one is your favorite?
You know what? Ask this all the time, and this is my honest answer. I honestly don't know. I've loved each and every one of them for different reasons. I can tell you which of the ones I had the most fun writing, which were my favorites to write. So that would definitely be Brianna and Jamie, I would say. I enjoyed writing Invisible Emmy too. But I also didn't quite know what I was doing at the time. So I didn't really know, I wasn't in my groove yet. I loved it, but I felt a little lost at times too. But Jamie and Brianna kind of spilled out of me. They just kind of wrote themselves, which was really nice and fun, and it made writing such a joy. Positively Izzy, I had a hard time with. It was kind of like Tyler. I felt a little blocked, and it took a few tries for me to really get into that groove. But I'm really happy with the way both of those turned out. So that's why I can't really figure out a favorite, because I love each of the books for different reasons. But I definitely know which ones I had an easier and harder time to write.
What is the biggest part of Brianna's story that isn't based on your experience?
Oh, that's a great question. My goodness. Let's see. I think that wasn't based on my experience. I would probably say writing the Torah portion, the speech about the Torah portion that Brianna was doing. As I said, my rabbi helped me kind of pick out an appropriate portion for that time of year, because it takes place in early June. And we had just like a few options, and something clicked with me, and then I had to write the Torah portion myself, and I really had to kind of dig deep. And it was something that I hadn't done since 7th grade. So, and I didn't remember doing it in 7th grade. So for me, it was kind of a new experience, and I loved doing it. I loved really finding meaning in it. So that, and maybe some of the friend drama too. I don't want to give you any spoilers, but there's a certain friend, kind of friend, non-friend, in the book that kind of appears out of nowhere, and if you read it, you'll understand who that is, and she creates a lot of drama. So luckily that didn't really happen to myself or my kids or my husband. So.
Will all of your future books have illustrations?
Oh, what a great question too. These are great questions. I don't know. I've really come to love the writing aspect of doing these books. I was trained as an illustrator, but I've always been a cartoonist at heart. So I've always loved both the writing and the dynamics between writing and illustrating, kind of how they switch back and forth, just the playing on each other. and that's what I'm used to. But I wouldn't mind challenging myself with just doing a straight up novel. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, because I always just kind of come back to the illustration part because it's such a natural part of me. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to maybe try my hand at it. We'll see if that's a success or not. I don't know. But some of the picture books I'm doing, if they ever come to if they ever get printed or come to fruition, I'm not that precious about doing the artwork myself on that. So I know there's some stories I'm writing where I feel like I could partner up with a different kind of artist who might do something that I wouldn't normally be able to do. So I just love writing them.
Do you plan on writing another book with a Jewish storyline?
Yeah, well, I just told you about the one that I might do about the Spanish Inquisition. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but back in 1492, you already know about Columbus, I'm sure, but at the same time that was happening, there was a really sad story going on in Spain where the king and queen made an edict where they booted out all the Jews of Spain. They either had to convert to Christianity or they had to leave the country. And the reason I was interested in doing a story about that, maybe doing a graphic novel about that from the perspective of maybe a young girl, is because that's where my ancestry comes from on my mother's side. So my ancestors on her side were all booted out of Spain and they settled in Turkey. And that's where most of the generations of that part of my family lived until my mom. My mom is actually from Istanbul, Turkey, and she came over to the United States when she was about 19 and married my dad, who has Eastern European roots, like probably most of us. And she's been always told us a lot of stories about her ancestors. Well, not about her ancestors. I mean, she told us about their background, but she's always talked about like growing up in Turkey and about her parents. And so that's always kind of intrigued me. And I thought it would be really interesting to do something with that.
What will the title be for that book?
I think the working title is probably going to be Sarah, and that would be the main character, and that's also the name of my great-grandmother who grew up in Turkey, and my mother was very close to her, so I thought that would be a really nice title, but we'll see.
Thank you, Mrs. Libenson. On behalf of PJR Way and Tidewater, we are happy you joined us tonight. Have a good night.